I was doing this Bible study today, and in it said, gratitude is a choice, not a byproduct. Although the gratitude is a choice part caught me, the word byproduct was really bugging at me for some reason I couldn't immediately identify. For my notes, I wanted to rewrite it, but with some other word in place of byproduct that sounded more right to my brain. I looked up byproduct in the dictionary and I scrolled down to synonyms, and that just made my discomfort with saying it even greater. I looked at words like offshoot, derivative, and spin-off and thought, I don't liken any of these words to what this saying should be saying to me. Looking back up at the definition itself, disregarding the first one since it was talking about byproduct in the context of food, and I went to the second definition. A secondary and sometimes unexpected or unintended result. That made more sense to me, but I still just had this feeling like there was something more for me to get out of this sense of grace today. I contemplated, if I were going to say something about grace in this general direction, what would it be? I kept thinking about the idea that gratitude is a choice and pondered on it. What am I trying to say here? I asked myself. Gratitude is a choice. That makes it something that happens as a result of intentions. I was almost there. I could feel the connection there on the tip of my brain, just waiting for me to see it. And then I did. Gratitude is a choice, not just a result. Then I thought, is that really saying the same thing as before? Though there were some similarities, it felt like it altered the original idea a bit. I opened up Google Gemini and plugged in the original saying, gratitude is a choice, not a byproduct. And then followed it up with saying that the phrase, gratitude is a choice, not just a result, made more sense to me, and waited to see what kind of response I would get back. It didn't take long. According to Gemini, the two concepts are similar, which is what I was going for. However, it does slightly alter the mechanics of how gratitude would actually work in the situation, in a, quote, very practical way. A byproduct is something that just happens when the conditions are right, which helped me to see what the author of the first saying was going for, in a way. That we shouldn't just sit around waiting for our circumstances to line up like some kind of celestial event in order for gratitude to just happen to us. That makes sense. But in this moment, I just knew there was something more here, which brings us to gratitude as being more than just a result. When gratitude becomes more than just a result, it can become an intentional outcome. More than just an outcome, in fact, but rather an internal mindset that creates an intentional process. By not looking at gratitude as something we have to wait for, or looking at it as something that just happens to us, it creates an opening for us to view gratitude as something that we can learn, an intentional process that we go through that offers us the opportunity to choose gratitude, even when the circumstances aren't perfectly lined up, even when things don't work out the way we wanted them to. Sometimes when I hear people flippantly say that gratitude is a choice, it makes me feel like there's just this little switch that I need to just flip within myself that will get me to choose gratitude instead of whatever emotion is trying to drown me in that moment. That is not what I am talking about here. What I am talking about is walking through the day to day, through the struggles and the craziness, experiencing all of the same pains and heartaches, but choosing to look around in the midst of the storm for the little bumblebee moments. I am talking about intentionally pulling your focus back from the storm just long enough to see the beautiful flower blossoming right there by the wayside. I'm talking about stopping just long enough to enjoy the radiant smile on a face of a child. I am talking about pivoting from where it feels like everything is happening to you and instead look for a spot of beauty or joy in the moment. It's there, if only you will stop long enough to see it. It might be a song on the radio or the joyful sound of the birds on a spring day. It is anything that can ground you in the truth that even in the midst of darkness, there's always something to be grateful for. Gratitude isn't just something that happens to you. It's an intentional journey that you walk on. It's making that choice every day to seek gratitude, to choose it when everything in the situation tells you you should not. It's remembering that there is more to life than the storm you have found yourself in, and looking for those impossible moments that shouldn't exist and yet somehow still do. Until next time, take care.